This is the Louie T Network. The journey is long, and nobody said it was going to be easy. But all we've got is us.
You have any quarterback news for us?
All that believe.
Yes, we do have news. We have announced that Kirk Cousins will be the starter for 2015 moving forward. And I think all three quarterbacks should be commended for their efforts, their willingness to get better. But when it's all said and done, after all the film that we've gone through, all the off-season activity, all the training camp footage, we feel like at this time, Kirk Cousins gives us the best chance to win, and that's where we're going.
When you say for 2015, does that mean barring
It's Kirk's team.
Welcome all my fellow Redskins brethren and sisters. I am your man and resident Redskins fan, Lou. Thank you for joining me here. Redskins Port. Week 17. Got a dilemma on our hands. It's Dallas week. And before I get to that, celebrate. The champs are here. The champs are here. Champ is here. Yeah, that's right. NFC East champions. Right here. Feels damn good. Feels good. I must admit, when you win the division and you clinch before week 17, gives you a little bit of freedom. In certain instances, of course, if you are like the Cincinnati Bengals or the New England Patriots or the Denver Broncos, you still got something to play for despite clinching the division. Hey, actually, Denver hasn't clinched their division. They're not like us. But that's not because Denver isn't good, just because their division is better. But at the end of the day, we don't have anything to play for. We can't further our seeding. We can't advance any higher in the NFC playoffs. We are the number 4 seed. And because of that fact, we have quite a dilemma on our hands. Kind of feels like having rich people problems. You know how rich people are always complaining about stuff that seems really trivial and it's really dumb when you don't have money and you're like, man, I'd love to have that problem. Should I take the private jet or the yacht? Should I take the truck or should I take the Maserati? Man, shut up. You know, money can't buy me love. I'm so unhappy. I've got everything I could ask for, but I can't find love. And you know, he's probably right, but damn sure like to figure that one out on my own. Hey, how about you hand me some of those bills and let me figure out if I'll be happy or not. More money, more problems? I damn sure like to find that out myself. So, I feel like that. We got a dilemma on our hands that a lot of teams around the league would love to have. Do you play your starters or don't you play your starters? Now, as a Redskins fan, it's ingrained in us to want to beat the Cowboys. It just is, okay? We already lost to this team once this season, and anytime you mention the name Dallas Cowboys, sensors and bells and whistles go off. It's red alert. You want to win the football game. It's what it amounts to. And let's be frank here. No matter what I want to do, what you want to do, what we think they should do, ultimately the Redskins organization, coaching staff, and all the people that matter are going to make a decision that we have to live with. And I think I know what they're going to do already. But just for the sake of argument, let's talk about what we think they should do. Probably not what they are going to do, but what they should do against the Cowboys. Now, if I had it my way, I would rest a lot of the guys that I feel like need the rest. And I'm going to run off a list of guys that I believe we should consider resting, and you can't rest all of them, as I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 8 names on my list of guys that you would want to rest. And you only have 7 non-active players on Sunday that are on your active roster. So essentially, you've got a 53-man roster, but only 46 of those guys get to dress on Sundays. Because of that fact, only 7 guys can be rested. But then you have to take into consideration Robert Griffin III, probably not going to dress, hasn't dressed all season but 1 game. And I don't see that changing because they're not going to put him in the game. And they need all hands on deck, especially for this game, because you're going to have some guys that you really don't want to put in the game. They may be active, but you don't want them to see the field if at all possible. So because of that fact, don't see Robert Griffin III dressing. So that takes away one of your non-active roster spots on Sunday. So you're really looking at 6 guys that you can sit down, essentially. And the way I see it is, Redskins are going to need to choose between these 8 players. And what I want from you guys at this video's ending is when you watch it, I want you to comment in the comment section below and answer one of the following questions, if not all of the questions. What do we do against Dallas? What should we do against the Cowboys? Who would you rest? Who are the guys that you would rest? I'm going to ask you a Matt Jones question. Matt Jones! Who? Matt Jones! I'm going to ask you a Matt Jones question. I want you to answer that as well. And then I want to know, who do you want to play in the postseason? And I'll pose that question a little bit later on in the program and give you my answer. But let's talk about the guys that we should rest going into Week 17 versus the Cowboys. Look, these are the guys that I think are going to be on the list. D. Hall, Trent Williams, Silverback, Momo, Morgan Moses, D. Gold, Deshaun Golson, J. Reed, of course, Jordan Reed, D. Jax, Deshaun Jackson, Hatch, Big Daddy, Jason Hatchett, and Matt Jones. Who? Matt Jones, the aforementioned Matt Jones. Now, notice I didn't mention Kirk Cousins, yet I mentioned both tackles. In my mind, Kirk Cousins isn't going to be inactive for this game. He's going to be active. Now, whether he plays or not remains to be seen. I don't know if Jay Gruden is going to send him out there for a possession or 2 or a half or whatever, or not play him at all. But either way, I think Kirk Cousins is still active on Sunday because you don't have Robert Griffin III at your disposal to use because of the $16 million injury situation, and so you don't want to put him on the field, have him get injured in a meaningless Week 17 game, and then have to owe him $16 million. And because of that fact, there's no way he's seeing the field, so no reason to even have him active. So because of that, you still want to have 2 quarterbacks up and ready to go, and in case something happens to Colt McCoy and he can't finish the game, you throw Kirk in there, and even if it's all handoffs, so be it. But I think that's how they'll address the quarterback situation. But I'm in favor of, if Trent, and I don't think he is going to play, and Morgan Moses, who was nursing an injury going into the Philadelphia Eagles game and played injured, has to sit out and probably should sit out. We need him as healthy as we can get him before the wild card weekend game at home. Then I don't want Kirk in the game. I don't want Kirk playing with 2 backup tackles, Trent and Tom straight out of Compton, and Ty and Secchi. I don't want him on the field with those guys protecting his blind side and his front side. So there are some decisions to make, and I think Kirk's availability will be hinged upon who is at tackle, because if we don't have your starting tackle, especially blindside, Trent Williams is out, and I'm expecting him to be out. There's no way you want Kirk out there. I mean, the Cowboys defensively, say what you want about their offense, their defense has been really good all season long, so I don't expect them to put him in harm's way if he doesn't have a full complement of offensive linemen in front of him. But that being said, D. Hall left the game, probably our most banged up player after the Eagles game. I fully expect him to sit down, because if you haven't noticed, we've done a lot better with him at safety than we have with him not at safety, and he's flying around hitting people. I didn't even know he had that in him. I knew he could come up and make a sound tackle. He's throwing his body around. I mean, he's hitting guys, he's jarring the football loose, he's being a physical presence. I really like the way he's flying around back there, and we need him. So, D. Hall needs to sit down. Trent Williams, don't see him playing in this game. I just don't. He's been nursing a bunch of injuries. He left the game against the Eagles late, but it was just because of a cramp. But I just fully expect him to not play in this game. Same with Momo, okay? Morgan Moses was played in the Eagles game banged up. I don't expect them to send him out there banged up in the finale against the Cowboys for what? Don't need him in this game, don't have to have him play, and I don't expect him to. So you're talking about both starting tackles out in this game, which probably means Colt McCoy is going to get the call to start this game. If you ask me, that's probably the way they should address it, but we'll see what they decide to do. D. Gold, Deshaun Golson. He was really banged up, had some bruised ribs going into the Eagles game, a number of injuries, knee, ankle, ribs. He just needs to sit down, okay? We need, and just like D. Hall, he's an important, integral part of our defense, and without him, we're in some serious trouble. So he needs to sit down as well. So that, to me, is 4 guys right there that you need to sit down. D. Hall, Trent Williams, Momo, and D-Go. Jay Reed. He's a guy that we all know. And let's go ahead and couple him and D-Jax into that package together, because both of these guys to me make our offense go. And if those guys to me aren't in the lineup, we're a totally different offense. I'm not explaining anything to you that's foreign. You understand the concept there. When one of those guys isn't in the lineup, we struggle somewhat offensively. We can survive without D-Jax, but we can't survive without Jordan Reed. Our offense takes a hit tremendously. Third downs, we will suffer if Jay Reed is not in the lineup. We can't stretch the field if D-Jax isn't in the lineup. So you know what both of these guys bring to the table. But that being said, I still think Jordan Reed is going to be active, and I expect him to play. Now, how much he plays, I don't know. That remains to be seen, but I expect him to be active, and I expect him to play. D-Jax, I wouldn't be surprised if they sat him down just because of the hamstring thing, and anything could happen to him. He's such a frail player that you don't want to put him out there. I think Jordan Reed is a lot more durable than D-Jax, and it's just funny even saying that because of his injury history, but he's a lot more durable than Deshaun Jackson. And if you look at Deshaun Jackson's injury history, he hasn't missed that many games in his career, but he's such a small guy. He's been banged up all season long. There's no reason to put him out there for a meaningless game against Dallas in Week 17. So if you ask me between the two, which one was going to sit down, I'd like to see both of them not play, but realistically, I think only one of those guys are going to be able to sit, and I think that guy would be D-Jax. Jason Hatcher, he's a wily vet, and he needs some time off, to be honest with you. There's no reason to send him out there. He's a guy that hardly practices during the week. He's 34 years old. He's a huge part of our defense up front. When he's fresh and healthy, he's a menace. I thought he played some of his best football earlier in the season when he was fresh. When he gets time off, the guy is a problem. And so I expect them to fully give him time off and allow him to heal up. So seeing Hatch in this game, highly unlikely. Don't know if he's going to actually be inactive or not. He may actually dress but not see the field. But this is one of those weeks where you don't want too many guys being active that aren't going to be able to contribute, because you're going to have some guys that are going to be active that aren't going to contribute. So if you can have a guy down and have somebody else up in his place that can contribute on special teams and wherever that person that is going to be down it can contribute, offense, defense, whatever, then that's what you want to do. So if Hatch is a guy that you can sit down and have him be inactive, I think they're going to do that. So I think when it all is said and done, if you ask me who the 6 inactives are, plus Robert Griffin III, they may make Robert Griffin III active and just not play him so that they can make somebody else inactive. Who knows? To me, I think it's like this. D-Hall, Trent, Momo, D-Gold, D-Jax, and Hatch are your 6 guys that are going to be inactive for this football game. I think everybody else is going to be up. Then there's the question of Matt Jones. Who? Matt Jones. There's a huge question there because he was injured last week. But the story out of Washington is he practiced all week, and if needed to, he could have went last week. So then the question begs, a lot of Pierre Thomas we saw last week. Chris Thompson is back. And of course we got AM. So now the question begs, if we're only carrying 3 backs in the postseason, forget about week 17. We're only carrying 3 backs. Who are you carrying? 4 for 3. 4 backs, 3 spots. Sort of like preseason game number 4. You keep your 4 backs on the roster. You got 5 of them. You got to pick 4. Who's the odd man out? Same thing here. Same premise. Postseason roster. Wild card weekend. You keeping 3 backs. Got 4. What 3 you keeping? Alfred Morris, Matt Jones, Pierre Thomas, Chris Thompson. Which of those 4 are you going to make active on game day? Only can choose 3 of them. To me, AM is Mr. Reliable. He's got to be up. He's the guy that you want to hand the football off to the most and the guy you trust the most. And he's the most durable out of that group. So AM, by default, is going to be up. That's a no-brainer. I think Pierre Thomas, you saw how huge he was in the passing game. He understands pass pro. And I think he's just a quintessential veteran and a key acquisition at this time of the season. How you sit this guy right now, I don't know how. After the game he turned in against the Eagles, I think you'd be foolish to not have him active and have him be a part of this run, because I think he can bring so many different things and intangibles to this stretch run. And I think he's been in the postseason before. He understands what it's going to take to get it done. The guy is a gritty, wily vet that can catch the football, run routes. He does a number of things well. He's got to be up. To me, that's a no-brainer. So now you're looking at Chris Thompson and Matt Jones. Who? Matt Jones. Now CT Scan. Young CT Scan had a touchdown grab last week, and I look at Chris Thompson and I say, man, there's a lot of things you do too, young fella. But I don't know if the Redskins feel like we need two of those guys. Because I look at Pierre Thomas and I look at Chris Thompson and say, you guys are one and the same. Even though they're not the same back, they do the same thing. They're both reliable pass catchers out of the backfield. You can hand it to them if you like, but I think they trust Pierre more so in that sense. And Chris Thompson has had injuries this season, and I think they're more comfortable with Pierre Thomas being up and being ready to go and having Matt Jones be their third back. I look at it like this. If they had to choose three, I think they're going with Matt Jones, Alfred Morris, and Pierre Thomas. I think Chris Thompson would be the odd man out, but I'm not sure. I'm hearing a lot of rumblings and grumblings about the fact that Matt Jones has had fumbling issues, and not to mention he's been missing assignments like he did in that Bears game. And they're just at a point in the season where they can't afford to have him making rookie mistakes. I'm a little nervous for him. We'll see what happens there, but that's the Matt Jones dilemma. What do you think they're going to do? Who would be your three backs in Wild Card Weekend? And also, gotta ask this question. Of all the teams that the Redskins can play in their first matchup in Wild Card Weekend, that being, of course, the Packers, the Vikings, the Seahawks, who would you most like to see the Redskins take on in Wild Card Weekend at FedEx Field? For me, it's an easy no-brainer. I'd love to take on, and it even sounds weird coming out of my mouth because I know about how good this guy can be, and it's playoff time, and he may take it up another notch. I'll take my chances after seeing what the Cardinals, and I know we're not the Cardinals, but after seeing what the Cardinals did to the Green Bay Packers, I'd love to take my shot at the Packers right now. And in a close second, I'd take the Vikings, but what scares me to death about them is the fact that they have Adrian Peterson at running back. And look, even though our run defense has been much improved, don't you dare for 1 second think that Adrian Peterson won't come to FedEx and bless us with a $175, 2 touchdowns, and lead the Vikings to a 27-20 victory over us. It can happen, and oh yeah, it will happen if you're not careful. Be careful what you wish for. And so, I think I'll take my chances with the Packers, who lack speed on offense, which is the one thing that we lack. So if you got it, you can hurt us. Well, the Vikings have speed on offense. They got Stephon Diggs. They got Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback. Don't underestimate his athleticism because he can run. And of course, the aforementioned Adrian Peterson. AP can get it done. Okay? AD run all day. And he can run past and run faster than anybody on our defense. So I don't want to see those boys. I'd much prefer to take the Packers and that stagnant offense and Aaron Rodgers and that lackluster offensive line and that okay to pretty bad defense and take our chances with those boys. Vikings play solid defense. They run the football. They could be a scary team for us to have to play. I definitely don't want any of Seattle right now. Don't want any of those boys. They play defense. And even though their run game isn't all that strong, they got Russell Wilson. You saw what Tyrod Taylor did to us. I don't want any part of him. They're playing better football. They got beat by the Rams, but that's the Rams, okay? That's their kryptonite. That's not us. We can't do to Russell Wilson what the Rams did to Russell Wilson and always do to Russell Wilson. That being said, I don't want any part of those boys. They're playoff tested. They're playoff battle. They know how to get it done. Okay, they battle tested. They know what it takes to move on and advance. And so I don't want any part of the Seahawks. Maybe next time I'll take my chances with those boys. Not this year. We're young, we're fresh, we're happy to be here. Hopefully those boys can get past that and understand that we got a game to win. Okay? It's great to win the division and to be excited to be in the postseason for the first time since 2012. But we got some business to attend to. Seahawks understand that, and they are willing, able, and prepared to go on the road and slay somebody. I don't want it to be us. So, who you want to play in Wild Card Weekend? Who's it going to be for you? Green Bay, Minnesota, or Seattle? I want the Packers, and in a close second, I'll take the Vikings. I want no no heart. Seattle Seahawks. Who you got? I am a Redskins fan. Ashton Burgundy and gold. My Redskins spirit will never die. Redskins spirit will never fold until we meet again. Hail to the NFC East champion, Washington Redskins. You're going to see this pretty face again before it's all said and done. I got more Redskin content coming your way. Celebrate! Champs are here.
There's plenty more where that came from. While you're here, subscribe to the channel. If you want more Louie T, be sure to follow me on Twitter at InTheLabRoom, or you can like the Facebook page at In The Lab Room. That's In The Lab Room on Facebook and at In The Lab Room on Twitter. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. The Redskins Report.